All right, guys. So, if I'm not mistaken, you're all settling into what you plan to do during this journey, working on your projects, plotting your schemes, whatever you've got going on. So here's the question. Are you good for me to roll this out day by day? We can move through each day a bit faster that way, so I'll roll for progress or any surprises that might come up. Sound good to everyone?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
fine by me, Joe.
Yep, sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, I just want to stay clear of everyone, Joe. I feel like that Thalia woman has it out for Cassia, and now for me as well.
Huh? Someone giving you grief, sis?
Meh. Not really grief, just, you know the type. She's one of those petty nobles who gets her kicks from stirring the pot. You can practically see her scanning the room for targets, looking to make things difficult and awkward. It's not even about me, honestly. It's about her needing someone to feel superior to. Cassia was just the unlucky target, and now I guess I'm next on her list. So I'm thinking, best to just steer clear and let her stew in her own nonsense.
So, want me to take her out? I mean, no one here would miss her, right? One less knob making trouble.
Oh yeah, I'm in. I can make it look like an accident, you know?
Absolutely not. We're trying to blend in, remember? Nobles tend to notice when one of their own mysteriously disappears.
Oh yeah. Right.
All right, so for now, everything's fairly quiet, except for you, Mite. A strange sensation ripples through your mind like a faint tug at the back of your consciousness. You realize it's coming from the guard you're linked with, that familiar hum of his thoughts blending with yours. He's feeling drained, almost heavy-lidded, as if he's just about ready to collapse. You sense his impatience, the weariness sinking into his muscles as he starts thinking about wrapping up his shift. There's a sluggishness in his thoughts, almost a mental fog, and you can feel him fighting to keep himself alert, practically counting down the minutes until he can hand over his post.
Well, shit. That's one big glittering loose end right there. As soon as the shift swap happens, they'll figure it out for sure. New guy will walk in, notice the missing crystal, and the whole airship's gonna be in an uproar. All right, Joe. I'm gonna command the guard to go find Stonebrew and tell him he accidentally dropped the backup crystal down the exhaust chute while he was inspecting it.
Oh, that's cold, Mite.
What do you mean?
Oh, nothing. I'm just saying that's ruthless as fuck. I mean, the poor guy's going to end up locked up or killed. And unlike if it was you who killed him, he's going to be remembered as the buffoon who lost something of immense value. I think it's awesome, but ice cold, brother. Ice cold.
Mite, as you reach out through the link, you feel the guard's thoughts blending with yours, his vision sharpening, pulling you into his perspective. It's disorienting at first. Your mind feels both familiar and foreign as you settle into his senses. You see the dim, winding corridors of the airship stretching ahead, the clang of boots on metal as he casually makes his way to Stonebrew. There's an odd calmness in his steps, but you sense a nervous flutter in his chest. He's not yet aware of the absolute storm he's about to walk into. When he finally finds Stonebrew, the dwarf is buried elbow deep in the guts of a valve, muttering curses that would make a sailor blush. The guard clears his throat, and with complete nonchalance says, Chief Stonebrew got something to report. I was checking the backup crystal, see, and, well, I accidentally dropped it down the exhaust chute. For a beat, there's silence. Stonebrew's head whips up slowly, and the guard's heartbeat seems to spike as the dwarf's face twists from shock to volcanic rage. His face flushes red, his eyes bulging, veins pulsing along his temples.
What in the blasted godforsaken nine hells did you just say? You dropped it! Dropped it! Down the fucking chute!
His face twists with a rage so fierce it looks like he's about to combust on the spot.
Do you have the slightest pissing clue what that crystal's worth, you dull-witted, brainless sack of shite? That crystal was worth more than your pathetic life 1,000 times over! We're talking tens of thousands of platinum, you god's damned waste of space!
He takes a step forward, practically spitting with every word, his voice a low, furious growl.
You just shat away more wealth than you'd see in 100 fucking lifetimes! You've single-handedly flushed enough platinum down the drain to buy a...
I get him to interrupt, saying, well, if it was so valuable, maybe you should have invested in a safety net or something.
Oh, you insolent little shit! You think you're clever, eh? A safety net! How about a noose around that empty head of yours?
Stonebrew's fists clench around the scruff of what feels like your neck, his face so red, it looks like he might actually explode.
I'll throw you in the brig myself. Hell, I'll make sure you rot in Solaris's jail cells till your bones turn to dust. No, better yet, I'll get you shipped off to Icehold in the far north. A place where they don't bother with petty shits like you. You'll freeze in chains, surrounded by the worst bastards the Empire's ever locked up. You'll beg for mercy, and they'll laugh in your face.
Yep, well, that's enough of that. I tag out and let him deal with the rest. He's fully convinced he dropped the crystal down the chute. Good luck, old lad.
So, let me get this straight. You just took full control of him like he was some kind of marionette? How in the hells did you manage that? Because forgive me if I'm wrong, but that sounds borderline ridiculous. Overpowered doesn't even cover it.
Honestly, I'm not 100% sure myself. It's complicated. But yeah, there's got to be limits. I mean, I doubt I could pull that on someone with, I don't know, real willpower or a strong enough mind to push back. And to be straight with you, I have no idea what the risks are. Could be one hell of a price down the line for all I know. But for now, a few unknowns haven't killed me yet.
Just give them time, man.
Huh?
All right, so, continuing. So, nothing as of yet, but this next one should be interesting. Maybe not. All right then, guys. Day 3, 4, 5, and 6 drift by as the scenery shifts beneath the airship's steady course, an endless tapestry of plains, rivers, and wild stretches that seem to stretch on without end. Each day the land changes, subtle at first, with dark green forests giving way to sprawling marshlands and then, eventually, to drier, rolling plains. From high above, settlements appear as scattered dots, tiny reminders of life below in this vast, quiet world. You each work on your individual tasks, feeling the isolation of the journey settle over you like a thin film. The hum of the airship is your only constant, a soft reminder of your own distance from everything familiar. Day 7 is when it changes. As you look out, you spot something rising on the horizon, a colossal mountain range that stretches beyond what the eye can take in. But what captures your gaze isn't the mountains themselves. It's the city before them. A city unlike anything you've ever seen in your life. It sprawls, vast and intricate, a stone and iron leviathan hugging the base of the mountains, its enormity almost incomprehensible. This is Solaris, the capital. Whatever Waterdeep was, this is something else entirely. Magnitudes beyond it, as if Waterdeep were but a single stone in a castle compared to this.
Holy fuck. Tronald, this is where you used to live?
Well, I can't remember much of it, but yeah, I guess it is.
It's insanely huge.
No kidding. You could walk for a day inside there and not reach the other side.
I feel really fucking small looking at that.
Imagine all the taverns they've got down there. Must be hundreds. Hell, maybe even thousands. I could retire in that place and still not visit them all.
Forget taverns. Think about the markets. The stuff they must have here. Tech, magic, inventions we haven't even dreamed of. I mean, look at the size of those towers. Bet you could get lost for days in one of them.
Days? Try weeks. I've seen cities, sure, but nothing like this. It's like a whole kingdom within walls.
Yeah, they always were imposing. Kept some things out, kept others in.
Kept things in. That's supposed to make me feel better about flying into it?
Come on, Raarh boy, what could they be keeping in? A giant dragon? Though, with our luck.
It's not monsters I'd be worried about in there. More like the politicians and nobles.
You're right about that. Something about this place just breathes power. Everything here just feels like it's watching you, sizing you up.
It does that, yes. This city, it has a way of knowing you, testing you, and it rarely shows mercy.
Well, it's a hell of a place to call home, Tronald.
I'm just glad we won't be staying in there long.
The airship begins its descent, and details come into view layer by layer, like peeling back the petals of a flower to reveal more each time. First, you see the outer walls, thick steel barriers that tower over the city's outskirts, encircling an expanse of farmland, forests and estates sprawling as far as the eye can see. But that's only the beginning. As you descend lower, you notice other walls. inner walls, endless rings of them, each one sectioning off different districts, each a world unto itself. It's like nothing you've ever imagined, a vision straight from legend, a fortress city that could house entire kingdoms within its borders. You glide over the main wall, passing into the outer reaches of Solaris, and still, the city stretches on below, vast and unending. Farms give way to orderly rows of houses, houses to bustling markets, markets to grand estates surrounded by manicured gardens and fountains. And beyond that, even more walls, even more districts. Streets teem with life, rivers flow through canals, and here and there, patches of forest and glinting lakes dot the landscape, a testament to Solaris's blend of nature and civilization. Every so often, a towering structure pierces the skyline, palatial mansions, arcane towers, temples to gods you've only read about. For over half an hour, the airship carries you over the expanse of this city, and still, it doesn't end. Each layer, each district seems more opulent, more secure than the last, as though the heart of Solaris is a prize hidden behind fortifications that only the most privileged may see. The air grows heavier with the scent of industry, the noise of life, and the silent promise of power. This is Solaris, the beating heart of the Empire, a place built to make men feel small, no matter who they are or where they come from. And as the airship makes its way ever lower, you can't shake the feeling that here, you are nothing. Less than nothing. As you're all watching the descent, the rumble of the ship's engines filling the silence, a faint cough sounds from behind you, breaking through your quiet reverie. You turn to see Reginald, standing in the shadows near a secluded corner of the deck, arms folded. He slowly makes his way over to you.
Well, here we are, the belly of the beast. We'll be sticking around for a few weeks, laying some more groundwork. I know you said you had other business to attend to, but will you be joining us?
No, I'm afraid not. We have to make our way north. There's a friend I need to find, an old student of mine, back when things were different. Can I assume that he would be welcome among your company, should he need it? That island you mentioned as a safe haven?
Any friend of yours is a friend of ours. You have my word on that.
He clasps his hands behind his back, looking down at the city with a hard, thoughtful gaze.
I know a time will come when we'll need you by our side, but I understand well enough that the road you're taking is just as important. Perhaps more so, for what we're building. The world is as fragile as glass, old friend. We all play our part in keeping it from shattering. And if your path leads you elsewhere for now, then may it be the path that keeps us all standing a little while longer.
The descent continues, and as the airship sinks lower, the Emperor's stronghold looms, vast and unyielding. This isn't a castle. It's a fortress city in itself, a monstrous bastion of power carved from the heart of the earth and raised toward the heavens. Massive spires jut from its stone like iron stakes hammered into the flesh of the world, towering up around the stronghold like a twisted, gleaming crown. Each spire spirals upwards, capped with watchtowers that seem to pierce the very clouds. It's as if the architects carved ambition and dread right into the rock. Around this immense citadel sprawls the rest of the city, layered with meticulous precision, a labyrinth of streets, districts, walls within walls, all funneling inward, pointing toward that domineering structure. Even from this height, the place thrums with life. As your airship descends further, the Emperor's domain fades slightly into the horizon, and the ship veers toward one of the outer districts, away from the gilded halls of nobility and the crush of the lower districts alike. Your landing zone appears to be a quieter port, reserved perhaps for special visitors, far enough from the squabble of common folk, yet distant from the heart of power. You see the other two airships, like iron shadows, descending in tandem from different angles, each banking toward a separate berth within the vast network of docking platforms. You look around the port, and the scale here is staggering. A fleet of airships sits tethered to towering stone docks, some bearing the Emperor's crest, others marked with sigils of distant lands. Chains thicker than a man's torso anchor each ship, creaking and groaning under their weight, while docking crews scurry below like ants underfoot, waving flags and hollering orders to each other amidst the grind of machinery and the hiss of steam. The airship shudders as it touches down, the vibrations running through the hull like the throaty growl of a beast finally caged. You feel the jolt as the landing gear locks in place, a final decisive thud. Ropes and chains are cast down from above, crew members securing the ship with practiced ease. The airship rests now, but there's a sense of anticipation, like a beast settling its haunches before it springs.
So, this is farewell for now then, isn't it?
He looks each of you over, his gaze lingering just a moment longer on Tronald.
Not the kind of farewell where we turn our backs and go our separate ways, mind you. No, this is just a pause. A breath before the storms howl. We'll see each other again. And next time the stakes will be higher, the odds darker. But I have a feeling you lot will bring something special to the table when that time comes.
He crosses his arms, giving a nod to each of you in turn, his mouth pulling into a slight, wry smile.
Until then, keep yourselves alive if you can manage it. There's plenty who would rather see you dead, and plenty more who profit from it.
He glances over his shoulder as Vladislav, Tobin, Ashford, Diego, and Cassia begin to undock, each giving you subtle nods of recognition, a silent acknowledgement of what's been shared and what's still left to come. Reginald looks back at you.
Go do what you need to do. Find that friend of yours. And when the time's right, come find us. The game's only just begun, and we're going to need all the pieces on the board.
He straightens, giving a last parting nod.
Farewell. For now.
With that, he turns on his heel, his steps echoing across the deck as he joins his comrades, who are already making their way down the ramp, fading into the vastness of Solarus. The city waits, sprawling and insatiable, ready to devour or reward you, depending on the path you take.
Joe, I walk up to Thyros, clasping him by the shoulder. Well, brother, this is where we part ways for now, but damn, I'm gonna miss you, man. You watch your back out there, yeah? And don't be doing anything I wouldn't do.
Thyros grips your shoulder in return, his expression fierce yet warm.
Aye, Raarh. The world will be colder without you by my side. But don't you worry, brother. The gods themselves couldn't keep me from fighting my way back to stand with you again when the time comes.
He leans in.
You got a lion's heart, Raarh. Strong and fierce. Don't let this world tame you. Be the storm they fear. And when we meet again, I want to see you bloodied, but unbroken, the way a warrior's meant to be.
Thyros straightens, his eyes steady, burning with the weight of brotherhood.
Until then, fight well, live true, and know that I'll be out there, watching the skies, for the day we charge into battle together once more.
It seems like he's talking about this whole journey has been a battle in some way, a battle within himself, discussing things he never thought he would share. He nods, a final resolute gesture.
Farewell, brother. May your sword be sharp, and your heart untamed.
Hey Joe, I want to find Stonebrew quickly before I leave.
All right. You make your way through the throng of workers and the clamor of the loading bay, searching for the familiar figure of Stonebrew. Amidst the haze of steam and the clang of metal, you spot him, hunched over a stack of crates, barking out orders to a few nervous-looking crew members. As you approach, he glances up, his stern expression softening slightly when he recognizes you.
Stonebrew. Thanks again for letting me use the workshop. Kept me from going stir-crazy on this trip. Gave me a place to think, to build. If the day ever comes when you've had enough of this place, the idiots, the routine, seek out Lord Ashford. Tell him Lord Garin sent you. He'll find you a position where you're respected, well paid, on the winning side.
The dwarf blinks, a bit taken aback by the weight of your words, his bushy brows drawing together in curiosity.
The winning side, eh?
He scratches his beard, clearly intrigued but unsure of what you mean.
Not sure what you're getting at, Lord Garand, but can't deny it's a rare offer you're making. Hard to find folk who look after us working types. Truth be told, the fools on this crew drive me mad half the time. Don't know a damn thing about proper tools or respecting a forge. But know this, my lord, if I ever get to the point where I can't stand the sight of this rust bucket, I'll remember your words. Don't know what's behind this winning side business, but I reckon it's worth considering. Thank ye, Lord Garand, for seeing me as more than just a grease-stained dwarf fixing up your gear. Safe travels to you, and may the gods watch your back on whatever path you're taking.
All right then, guys. You gather your things, step off the airship, and make your way down the ramp, boots hitting solid stone with that strange, hollow echo that speaks of ancient masonry and deliberate craft. Around you, people stream off the other ships, dispersing into the heart of Solaris like droplets in a river, their clothes as fine as any you've seen. The crowd is the initial display of Solaris's wealth and power. There are noble women with fur-lined capes, their necks weighted down with jewels that glint in the sunlight, and men in tailored coats, their fingers heavy with rings. Private guards accompany them, decked out in armor, filigree and polished metals reflecting the light in dazzling arrays. Yet, every now and then, you catch sight of something a bit different. Guards from far-off lands, wearing armor trimmed in exotic fabrics or wielding weapons that hint at stranger origins. Some of these guards wear masks, unsettling things of iron and glass, or carry spiked shields emblazoned with foreign sigils, all there to protect, but just as much to intimidate. The architecture surrounding you is beyond anything you'd imagined. Towering spires climb the sky, twisting in ways that seem to defy physics, almost like some otherworldly hand reached down and sculpted the stone itself. Arches soar above, impossibly high, their edges razor thin, as if carved by a blade sharper than anything mortal hands could hold. Everywhere you look, there are carvings, faces, creatures, and twisted shapes etched into the stone, peering down at you with eyes that seem to shift as you move. Marble statues stand guard along the pathways, worn yet proud, depicting heroes long dead, their expressions etched with that stern pride only the truly powerful can bear. And there you stand. What would you like to do?
Well, there's no time like the present. I say we head straight out and find Asmo Prime. Nothing here we need to hang around for.
Yeah, we've got one hell of a journey ahead of us. No point being docile any longer. Besides, we stand still too long, we might just get swept up in this place and forget to move at all.
But it's just crazy, you know? I mean, look at it. I've never seen a city this big or this alive. There's so many people, more than I thought existed in the world, to be honest.
Makes me feel a bit uncomfortable. Joe, is anyone giving me strange looks? A place this rich, I'd expect a few sour faces looking our way.
Surprisingly, no. Not a single raised brow or sneer. It's strange, really. You thought the heart of the Empire would be a place where you'd stick out like a sore thumb. But look around, Raarh. This city is teeming with all kinds. Dragonborn with scales glinting in the sun. Gnomes darting through the crowd like they own the place. Tieflings with horns arcing elegantly back. Goliaths towering ahead above everyone else. Even the odd Aarakocra flapping overhead, wings spread wide. Furbolgs, Githyanki, Harengon with twitching ears. Kobolds, Tabaxi with their tails swaying behind them, and hulking Loxodons lumbering through the throng like stone sentinels. You're hardly the strangest face here.
Well, that's a surprise. Half the time, I can't walk through a village without some kid running off screaming, "Monster!" Maybe this place isn't as tight-assed as I thought.
See? Could be worse, big guy. At least you're not the only exotic one here. Though, does make you wonder, doesn't it? What kind of place could bring all these folk together like it's nothing?
Money, power, influence. Solaris has it all. It's probably the only city with enough pull to keep all these races living side by side without tearing each other apart.
All the more reason to get what we need and get out.
Yep. Come on, mate. This city's grand, but it's a distraction. There's bigger things waiting for us down the road.
All right. Just feels like the kind of place you could lose yourself in, you know? But fine, the road calls.
All right, Joe. I'm going to try find a way out of this chaos.
Saxy, as you take the first step forward, trying to push through the throng of bodies and chaos of the bustling port, a blur of brown fur and twitching ears bounces into view. The figure, a Harengon with an excitable, almost feverish energy, bounds up to your group, his oversized feet thumping the stone with each springy hop. His fur is a mixture of mottled brown and cream, with a wild shock of white around his cheeks, giving him the look of someone who's always mid-sprint. He clutches a stack of colorful leaflets, and before anyone can get a word in, he's already talking a mile a minute.
Well, hoppin' heck. Fresh faces in Solaris, I'd bet my whiskers on it. Name's Bunston Quickfoot. Pleased to meet ya. You new to this city, huh? Looking a bit lost, aren't ya? Well, worry no more. Bunston's here to be your guide, your compass, and your best pal on 2 ears. Got all the maps, guides, tips, tricks, festivals, whatever you need to make this fine city feel like home.
No, we're actually...
He thrusts a leaflet at each of you, grinning broadly as his nose twitches.
So, here's what's hoppin'. First off, you got the Moonlight Masquerade Festival down in the Brightling District. Masked dances, fire jugglers, whole lot of drinking. Then there's the Great Horned Dash, a race with actual real live minotaurs. A little risky if you're not used to big stompy beasts, but hey, that's half the fun.
Honestly, that sounds great and all, but we're...
Without taking a breath, he continues, eyes wide with enthusiasm.
Oh, and can't forget the Solaris Showdown, a gladiator-style sports event for the strongest, bravest souls to clash in the Arena of Stars. If fighting ain't your thing, there's a market fair with the best roast carrots and honey-glazed somethings you ever tasted.
He looks around before giving you a wink.
Between you and me, they got an apple cider that'll put a spring in your hop, if you catch my drift.
We really don't need any...
Huh? What do you mean, gladiator-style event? I didn't realize they did those around here. Thought that was more of a Zephyrian thing.
Well, that's a common misconception, my big greenie. The Empire loves its sport, loves the thrill of a proper battle, warriors going toe-to-toe, blades flashing, fists flying. What's more exciting than that, eh? But unlike the Karathis down south, the Empire's version is all volunteer. Every fighter enters willingly into the Arena of Stars, and there's a tidy bit of coin on the line too. Of course, there's still a risk of, death and all that, but it's all a bit more civilized. Less about chains and lashes, more about skill, courage, and pride.
Okay, but...
So it's got the thrill without the whole dying under the sun as a slave bit. All the best parts of Zephyrian sport, but with a nice layer of Empire polish.
Are you done? Like, seriously, are you finished? Because you're not letting us get a word in edgeways here. No, we're not interested in any of that. We're leaving. So, if you could tell us the quickest way out of the city, that would be real helpful.
Oh, well, that's a shame. But if it's speed you're after, then the quickest method around Solaris is the trains. They cover plenty of ground, fast as a blink. If coin's a bit of a problem, though, which I doubt, seeing as you just offboarded one of those beauties, then carts are a cheaper option. Or walking, if you've got the time and strong legs.
He shoves another leaflet into your hands, Tronald, a grin plastered on his face.
Here, take this, my friend. A little guide to the trains and a 30% discount on all train travel in Solaris. For an annual subscription, of course. Just head through that archway over there, turn right, walk 5 minutes, and you'll find the main station. And if you change your mind about the gladiators or the festival, just give old Bunston Quickfoot a shout. I'm always hopping around.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. All right, Joe, I start following his directions towards the main station.
So, are we getting an annual subscription? Could be useful. Plus, that discount's nothing to laugh at.
We're leaving the city soon, Raarh. Off to the north, remember? Unless you've got a sudden urge to relocate to Solaris permanently, we're not exactly in the market for an annual pass.
For a trip that's about a day's worth of city time left? Come on.
Yeah, we're not coming back here until we're done with what we need to do. And that could be a long while. If we need to get around now, we'll just pay the fare.
All right, no need to hammer it in. Just trying to think ahead.
You make your way down the cobbled street, the din of voices and rumble of wheels blending into a steady hum around you. Solaris, in all its vastness, has an energy that's almost overwhelming. As you turn a corner, something catches your eye. A storefront, dark and narrow, nestled between two towering, glittering emporiums. This place is anything but ordinary. Iron bars crisscross the windows, reinforced with thick slabs of glass that have seen better days, etched with scratches and clouded by a permanent grime. The faint glow of scarlet lanterns casts an eerie light across the doorway, giving the place an almost otherworldly aura, a stark contrast to the polished facades of its neighbors. Outside the door, a pair of Empire guards stand like statues, their faces hard as the steel of their breastplates, their eyes sharp and suspicious, ready for anything. Next to them loiter a few rough-looking types, dressed in leather, studded with metal rivets, their eyes roaming over the crowd.
You know, I can tell you're just trying to sidetrack us from our quest, but consider me intrigued. What is this place?
You can't tell from this far away.
Uh-huh, right. Sure, Joe.
I'm going to move a bit closer to it, Joe, and have a look.
As you get closer, you see posters plastered across the foggy windows, each one stamped with the Empire's official crest, and the harsh red letters of the word "Wanted." Faces stare back at you from the yellowed paper, some sneering, some grim, all with that look of men and women who have a price on their heads. A quick glance at the flyers tells you this isn't some quaint shop for curiosities or a blacksmith catering to noble clients. It's something darker. Tattered and half-faded signs list rewards, hefty sums scribbled in bold ink next to crimes, smuggling, sedition, murder. Inside, shadowy figures move about, consulting maps, pointing at lists, making exchanges that are clearly not meant for the light of day. This is a den for the Empire's hunters, a place where business and bloodshed meet under a thin veil of legality. The word bounties isn't emblazoned above the door, but it doesn't need to be. This place practically bleeds it.
Look at this place. Bounty hunting. Don't you think there's just, I don't know, a certain cool factor about it?
Yeah, taking down criminals, chasing them across the Empire, pulling in some serious coin, and maybe even a few bragging rights while we're at it. Tell me that doesn't sound badass.
You two do realize we've got enough on our plates already, right? We're not here to join some guild of hired thugs.
Honestly, I think these two would lose it if we didn't at least let them peek in. But I'm telling you, Raarh, Mite, we're not running around after wanted posters. Not just yet, anyway.
Oh, let them have a look. It's not like we're signing up for a full-time gig.
Go on then. But remember, we're not straying off course to chase down some petty criminal halfway across the continent.
I grab Raar's hand and run towards the...
Don't ever fucking touch me again.
Are you being serious?
All right, I'm gonna walk into the place and check out the bounties.
You step through the iron-framed doorway, the faint creak of hinges barely audible over the low murmur of voices inside. The guards flanking the entrance don't say a word, only giving you a slight nod of acknowledgement. It's a simple gesture, but it carries weight. Inside, the air is thicker, heavier, carrying the scent of ink, sweat, and the faint tang of oil. Eyes follow you as you enter, belonging to rough-looking types who lean against walls or hover near the counters. No one says anything, no sneers, no jeers, just a few appraising looks that feel more like a sizing up than outright disrespect. Their stances suggest they know trouble when they see it and that you're not the kind to give it lightly. The shop itself is surprisingly orderly, with wooden boards lining the walls, each plastered with sheets of paper, neatly arranged in rows. These aren't casual decorations. They're a system, a hierarchy of sin. The topmost posters hold larger sheets, faded and stained but still prominent, while smaller slips crowd the bottom. Whoever set this up clearly had an eye for keeping things in order, or maybe just a deep respect for the artistry of crime. There are hundreds of posters. The first few faces that catch your eye are relatively tame. Name, Drelgar, Quick Hands Vasek. Race, human, wiry build, scruffy hair, and a nervous smirk that feels more like a grimace. Crime, petty theft and burglary in the merchant district. Bounty, 75 gold. His sheet is crinkled at the edges, a few ink smudges marring the outline of his grubby face. Beneath his name, the crime is scrawled in terse handwriting, the words almost apathetic, like even the scribe knew this guy was small time. Then the one next to it. Name, Crixa Brightscale. Race, Dragonborn, gold scales with one milky eye and a scar running down her cheek. Crime, fraud and smuggling. Bounty, 120 gold.
I really wish we weren't in a rush. This would be fun.
Yup. Maybe we will have some downtime in the future where me and you can set up our own bounty hunting organization.
That would be cool as fuck.
Can I have a little look for anyone I recognize, Joe?
You spend a few minutes scanning through the displays, the rough sketches and bold inked crimes swirling together like a chaotic tapestry of bad decisions and desperation. The boards are a patchwork of faces, some sneering, some hollow-eyed, and some with that blank, unnerving neutrality that makes you wonder what kind of mess they left behind. And then you see it. Name, Solomon Shadowvale. Race, human, mid-30s, sharp features marred by a jagged scar across his jawline. His dark hair is cropped close, his eyes rendered in stark, hollow black ink. Crime: grand larceny, aggravated assault, conspiracy to commit arson. Bounty: 500 gold.
Well, I'll be damned.
Huh? You know this guy?
Yeah. I used to run with him back before everything went to shit. Before the goblins nabbed me. Before I met up with you guys. I don't know. Kind of glad to see him on here, you know? Means he's still alive, still out there. I didn't know if the rest of my old crew was dead or worse.
Yeah, I get that. Seeing an old face, even one on a poster like this, it's complicated. It's not every day you know for sure someone from your past is still breathing, even if they've been up to no good. So, what's he like? Should we be worried if he's still kicking around?
Solomon? He's a clever bastard, I'll give him that. Always had a way of getting what he wanted, one way or another. But he wasn't the worst of the lot, you know? Just someone trying to survive like the rest of us. I seriously doubt he'd have any reason to be after me.
Well, if he is, you've got us now. Wouldn't want to be on the wrong side of this crew.
Still, it's strange seeing him here. Makes me wonder what else from the old days is gonna come crawling out of the woodwork. I keep on looking, Joe.
As your eyes scan over the countless posters, something stops you dead in your tracks. A face that feels like a punch to the gut. A shadow that seems to darken the room itself. The man staring back at you from the poster has a gaze that burns crimson, even in this static image. His dark hair falls around his shoulders like a shadowed cascade, framing a face carved from darkness and rage, yet eerily calm, a calm that only comes with absolute confidence in the power he wields. He is clad in black armor, barely visible under a shroud-like cloak, and there's something unrelenting, something almost otherworldly about the way he looks back at you, even from a distance. The crimes listed beneath his name are like a horrifying poetry: fratricide, androcide, genocide, mass murder, omnicide, illiticide, regicide, magnacide, tens of thousands dead, entire bloodlines erased, entire regions decimated under his hand. He's not just a criminal, he's a force of ruin. There, etched beneath his portrait, are the words that seal the weight of his existence: the Emperor's reward, 2 million gold pieces. Your breath catches. This isn't just any target. This is a legend, a nightmare made flesh. And deep down, there's a gnawing realization. This is the one who leads the Obetus, the one who stands above all others in darkness, the grandson of Asmodeus himself.
Well, I'll be damned.
And that's where we're going to wrap up this session. See you later, guys.